Where on earth is Polkadot going? Let's have a look at on-chain metrics. Let's see adoption, let's see staking, let's have a look at tokenomics, and let's find out how much potentially Polkadot could underperform or outperform. What we've got over here is the daily transfer amount directly from Polkadot Subscan.io. And this is a rather long-term chart. 4 years of data, and we haven't really seen a lot of growth, unfortunately. What we've got over here is the number of daily active accounts and newly created accounts. So this does come in wave, but unfortunately we don't really see a sticky product here either. Because one would expect that if there's a constant flow of new accounts, that the number of active accounts should be growing over time if people continue to use the Polkadot blockchain. Now there's not just one chain, there are several sub-chains. And here we've got the number of active accounts with all those substrate chains. This chart has only roughly half a year of data, but unfortunately also here we do not really see growth. And so how did then Polkadot perform relatively speaking? Let's first look at DOT relative to Ethereum. So we all know that Ethereum didn't do too well recently, but Polkadot unfortunately did even worse. This chart starts in August of 2020, so it's again roughly 4 years of data, and we're looking at an underperformance of 76%, relatively constantly. Now it seems like we might be bottoming out in the last few weeks. Is this because the selling pressure of Polkadot is declining, or is this because Ethereum is selling off that much recently? Instead of looking at the Polkadot price relative to the Ethereum price, we can look at Polkadot dominance. So that's now a measure of how much of the entire cryptocurrency's market cap is attributed towards Polkadot. So we see, quote unquote, the importance of Polkadot over time. In March of 2021, 2.3% of all of crypto was in Polkadot. That has declined massively to currently 0.3%. And here, unfortunately, if we zoom in, we do not see the selling pressure going down. We're pretty much at an all-time low. Now, the adoption metrics aren't great, but they aren't terrible either. Why is Polkadot performing that badly? I think the answer to this is tokenomics, and the tokenomics get amplified with the staking program. Let me show you what I mean. So over here we've got token.unlocks.app. This shows us the floating DOT tokens over time, and this is increasing because of staking rewards. Now here's an assumption in this chart, and that assumption is that there's an annual inflation rate of 10%. However, when we go to staking.polkadot.cloud, we see that currently the average reward rate is 16.8%. So this chart here underestimates the inflation. But in theory, if we stake Polkadot, all should be fine, right? We do not get diluted. If there's a bit under 17% dilution, why then did Polkadot underperform Ethereum by more than 60% in the last 2 years? I think this is related to the staking program. So here's the DOT over time. We've got some staking amount, we've got some circulating amount. And in the last 2 years, the percent that is staked actually went up. This should be positive for the price. However, we are currently at almost 60% of DOT that's staked. In other words, only 40% is floating. Now, if we increase the supply by 17% in a year, and that gets at least partially sold off into those 40% liquid supply, then the price impact of that dilution gets levered. So here's how that works. Imagine you had a token where 99% of the tokens gets locked up, and then in a year you have 1% additional tokens hitting the market. Now the liquid supply in that case doubles, right? It doubles from the 1% we had before to the 2% we have afterwards, and that would then crash the price by 50%, even though we only have 1% dilution year per year. And this is exactly what I believe is going on here. There's only 17% dilution, but only 40% is floating, and that has quite a bit of an impact when a good fraction of those rewards get sold off. Again, this is the Polkadot dominance. Now there's one more interesting data point, and I'm not sure what to think about this. What we've got over here is the treasury balance over time. And it tended to increase all the way to July of last year, and it's now crashing. Here's the Polkadot dominance since July of last year. It went from 0.55% down to 0.3%. So Polkadot's relevance was roughly cut in half. Here are the treasury expenses over time. And what we've just seen was measured in DOT tokens. So when we look at this measured in US dollars, we actually had a treasury at one point of more than 1 billion US dollars. And that's now down to 50 million. So a 95% drop in value since November of 2021. And this is November of 2021. The DOT dominance only went down by 85%. The treasury value went down by 95%. Now I publish videos on Polkadot regularly on this channel. And if you haven't watched the prior video, Buy the Polkadot low, then feel free to check that out. Simply search for the title. It was an above average performing video. I will of course make updates on DOT and on various other altcoins on this channel. If you don't want to miss those videos, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to also give this a like. It helps the channel grow. In case you've got Telegram, then feel free to join us. There's a link to our Telegram channel directly below this video. Looking very much forward to chatting with you.